7 months after the death of the Duke of Edinburgh, there's deepening concern over the Queen's health. The ever-energetic monarch, who turned 95 in April, held her first engagement yesterday with the retiring UK military chief Sir Nick Carter after missing a Remembrance Sunday service on doctor's orders. Speaking from Jordan, Prince Charles moved to allay fears over his mother's condition.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Is she okay?
Yes,
we
yes.
send our best wishes.
But once you get to 95, it's not quite as easy as it used to be.
Thank you so much.
It's bad enough at 73.
For more on this, I'm joined from Sydney by the National Convener of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy, Professor David Flint. David Flint, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I don't like the tone of a lot of the media commentary at the moment, almost waiting for the death of the monarch. It is inevitable at 95. That will come at some time. But I want to remind people too, she's someone's mother. She's someone's grandmother. She's a human being as well. How concerned are you by the nature of reports and indeed the Queen's health?
Well, they are somewhat tasteless. What I think is even more tasteless are the so-called Republicans, and they're essentially fake Republicans. We already have a republic, as John Howard would say. We have a crowned republic, but the Republicans they seem to believe that this will be the silver bullet. They always have some silver bullet, and they think this will make Australians suddenly decide to become some sort of politician's republic. I think that is the most macabre of all that is going on. Of course, the Queen is elderly. It will be very different from the last time. You're too young, Peter, to remember the last time, but I was a boy at the time, a schoolboy, and I remember the sudden death of the King. He was only 56. He died in 52 as Elizabeth and Philip were on their way to Australia. They were in Kenya at the time, and it was a tremendous shock to this country. The King was very highly respected, and he'd been such a stalwart during the Second World War. You might recall what the Queen said, the Queen Mother. She was then the Queen, and she said when it was suggested that the children, the two princesses, be sent to Canada, she said, well, they won't go without me. I won't go without the King, and the King will never leave London. Now, London was being bombed. The palace itself on one occasion was bombed. It was a difficult period, but the wonderful thing which really impressed people in Britain and throughout the Commonwealth was that the King stood by. He was a king of service, as has been the Queen. And I think we shouldn't forget that when she was just 21, a mere slip of a girl, in Cape Town in South Africa, when she said those wonderful words, "My whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be dedicated to your service and the service of the great imperial family to which we all belong." Now, that is something that she has honoured, that promise and her coronation oath. She's been the Queen of service, and that has been really remarkable. But we all know, as she said the other day, when Prince Edward read her speech to the Church of England Assembly, we all know that life eventually comes at some stage to its next phase. You leave this world, and the Queen knows that. And this is something we all understand. And as I say, it certainly won't come as the terrible surprise that the death of the King did in 1952, when he was a mere 56 years old.
You're very young, very young. Well, just going back to that point you made about the Republicans, we know Malcolm Turnbull has said, we're in an Elizabethan era, things will change when we are no longer in an Elizabethan era. Peter Fitzsimons and others inside the Republican movement, there's a sense that they feel they've got a moment or a window there with Prince Charles, that if they don't use it, they'll lose it because the popularity of Prince William and Kate Middleton. Where do you think this is up to? Are they going to make a real push? We know Labor has got an election commitment of going forward with a Republic referendum. A simple question, do you want one or not? Before they even ask the people about the model, give us your sense of things.
Well, they lost it in 1999. The model was so appalling, the Keating-Turnbull model, we tried to have the question changed to include the way in which the president could be sacked, and the president could be sacked by the Prime Minister. The only republic ever in history where this could occur, the president could be sacked without notice, without grounds, and without any right of appeal. And this was to turn the whole system so that the Governor-General had no reserve powers. What they're planning, and they've announced they were going to reveal their model. This is after 22 years since the referendum. They were going to reveal their model this year. They were going to drop the idea of having a plebiscite, then a plebiscite, and then a referendum. The Labour Party has also dropped their plans to do this, so they work in tandem. And what they're proposing now is a model. Now, I suspect that what the model is, and they're still obviously working on it because they promised it this year, and we're approaching the end of the year, what they're going to do, I think, is have a popularly elected president, but strip him or her absolutely of the reserve power. So the president will be just the prime minister or the government's puppet of no consequence whatsoever. I don't think the people will swallow that. They had their opportunity in 1999. They mucked that up, and it'll never come back again. When the Queen does leave this world, there will be moments of such recollection. And I don't think the Australian people will wake up that morning and say, oh, we must become a republic. The whole world will be looking at the life and the service
of the Queen. I have to leave it there, but this is not going to go away, this issue. We'll look for that model if and when it surfaces. Thank you for your time. David Flint there, constitutional monarchist.